In the misty fields of eastern France, the ground trembled under the treads of hundreds of steel beasts. Out of the fog, the dark silhouettes of German Panthers emerged, sleek, deadly, and seemingly unstoppable. Their mission was simple: crush the thin line of American forces blocking their path. But hidden among the hedgerows and villages, a smaller, scrappier force waited. Armed with outdated tanks and raw determination, the Americans were about to pull off one of the most stunning and unlikely victories of World War II. This is the forgotten battle where courage, cunning, and chaos collided. The Battle of Arracourt. The Battle of Arracourt raged between September 18th and 29th, 1944, near the town of Aracort in Lorraine, France. It became the largest tank battle ever fought by U.S. forces up to that point. A brutal engagement where American troops smashed 2 German Panzer brigades and crippled elements from 2 entire Panzer divisions. What makes Aracort stand out? It's where lightly armored Sherman tanks, armed with modest 75mm guns, went head-to-head and triumphed against the fearsome German Panthers. By September 1944, the Allies were charging toward the Rhine River. Sensing disaster, Hitler ordered a bold counterattack against General Patton's Third Army in France. The mission: recapture the vital town of Lunéville and annihilate the U.S. 12th Corps at Dieulouard's Moselle River bridgehead. The Germans threw everything they had into the fight, including the 5th Panzer Army, a battle-hardened force ready for one last desperate swing. Near Aracort, the U.S. 4th Armored Division braced for the storm. The Germans had the numbers and the machines. Over 300 tanks, fresh from the factory, organized into hastily formed panzer brigades, a force not seen since the battles of Caen and Mortain. Each brigade had powerful Panther tanks and long-barreled Panzer IVs, equipped with deadly 75mm cannons. But there was a catch. Many German crews were inexperienced, poorly trained, and desperately short on fuel. Against them stood the 4th Armored Division, veterans who had fought together since 1941 and were now seasoned by months of brutal combat. Despite their grit, the Americans faced a serious problem. Most of their tanks were M4 Shermans, fast and reliable, but hopelessly outgunned by the Panthers. A Sherman's 75mm shell could barely scratch a Panther's front armor, even at close range, while the German tanks could punch through Shermans from 2 kilometers away. Yet what the Americans lacked in firepower, they made up for with tactics, teamwork, and determination. As Patton's army advanced across the Moselle River, the Germans counterattacked with ferocity. On September 18th, thick fog rolled over the battlefield, grounding Allied planes and cloaking the German advance. The 111th Panzer Brigade struck first at Lunéville, but was beaten back by the 4th and 6th Armored Divisions. Undeterred, the Germans turned their sights on the isolated Combat Command A, CCA, near Aracort. At dawn on September 19th, the 113th Panzer Brigade emerged from the fog, crashing into CCA's thin lines. Outnumbered and caught off guard, the American tankers quickly rallied, setting deadly ambushes in the mist. The fog, meant to help the Germans, now betrayed them. Confused and blind, German tanks exposed their weaker side armor, and the Shermans pounced. Within hours, 11 Panthers were destroyed. Lacking reconnaissance units, the Germans stumbled into American traps again and again. Meanwhile, CCA skillfully maneuvered, using hills, cover, and clever fire and maneuver tactics to turn the battlefield into a death trap for German armor. At Lizy, tank destroyers from the 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion ambushed a column of Panthers, losing 3 of their 4 vehicles, but taking down 7 enemy tanks. By nightfall, CCA had crushed half of the 113th Panzer Brigade's tanks, without losing their own grip on the field. From September 20th to 25th, the fighting intensified. Major Charles Carpenter, piloting his tiny Piper L4 Cub, Rosie the Rocketer, launched daring air attacks against German tanks, striking from low altitudes with bazookas strapped to his plane. With the weather finally clearing, P-47 Thunderbolts roared back into the skies, raining destruction on exposed German armor. On September 22nd, the Germans tried again, pushing through the morning fog. They collided with American cavalry and armored forces, but this time, the Americans were ready. As the fog lifted, it revealed the full weight of American firepower. Shermans, tank destroyers, artillery, and swarming fighter bombers shredded the advancing German columns. Panzer Brigade 111 was annihilated. Leading the American counterpunch was the legendary 37th Armored Regiment under Lieutenant Colonel Creighton Abrams. From September 19th to 22nd, the 37th held firm against overwhelming German attacks. At Mayenvai, they lost 14 Shermans, but knocked out 55 German Panthers and Tigers in return. By September 25th, the tide had fully turned. The 4th Armored Division had destroyed 285 German tanks and vehicles at the cost of just 25 Shermans and 7 tank destroyers. The German counter-offensive at Aracort was a crushing failure. Though Patton's Third Army was halted temporarily, partly due to fuel shortages, the German tank force in Lorraine was shattered. Ironically, German commanders believed they had succeeded in slowing Patton's advance, but Hitler was furious and dismissed several generals in the aftermath. As for Creighton Abrams, he would go on to become one of America's most celebrated armored commanders, eventually rising to Army Chief of Staff in the 1970s. The Battle of Arracourt proved a powerful lesson. In tank warfare, it's not just about who has the bigger gun or thicker armor. It's about tactics, teamwork, and the will to win. And at Aracort, the Americans showed that even against overwhelming odds, smart fighting could turn the tide of history. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel before you go.